I couldn't get my camera to turn on. I was like, what is happening in my life right now? Why is my camera not working? I didn't actually figure out, I didn't actually figure out what it was that was wrong, but I ended up like, I just uninstalled it and put it back in and everything started working again. So I was like, all right, doesn't really matter why it wasn't working. As long as I got it working now, I'm happy. Oh, so glad to be back. Thank you guys so much for all of your understanding last week. I wasn't able to make it in. I had a bit of a emotional crisis, a mental health crisis. I was dealing with some things, and I talk all about it in the squad. So there's a lot of, so the whole story's in there if it's something that you're interested in learning more about. I think it was actually a very powerful learning lesson. And I got some really good feedback from squad members actually about, I was worried that I might be oversharing a little bit, but I felt like it was important to share. So I basically told the story about why it was I need to take time off, what I did, my coping mechanisms, blah, 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 blah. And honestly, it was really cathartic to share. But hi, Elisa. And it was also really wonderful to hear back from people afterwards to say how what I had shared had helped them in some way. Maybe not necessarily in like they weren't having the exact same issue, but something that I said resonated and they were able to run with it and take it somewhere else. So that was like really, I told my husband, I said, seriously, going through trauma and kind of working through past childhood trauma, it kind of sucks. But if you can help somebody else with it, then it really just makes it all worth it. You're like, you know what? It's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Because that means that I'm going to feel better. And then someone else is also going to feel better. And that's pretty cool, right? I may actually hide the Social Strategy Squad link right now because I don't actually want it there at this moment. That's not the one. Where's the other? That's the one I'm hiding? Yeah, there we go. So thank you very much. So now we're back on our regularly scheduled programming. And today we're going to be talking about hustle-proofing your life. And I am so excited because this is something that I have been working on for many years, as you all know. Those of you who have been following me on my page, you know that I've been talking about this hustle-proof your life idea for a really, really long time. And I had this vision, right, of like, after having worked with so many of you, I really started to get an idea of what it looks like to move from a space of anxiety, fear, worried you're not going to be making enough money, worried you're not going to be able to find customers, feeling this need to prove yourself, where this like internal impetus inside that's like, I have to work for whatever reason, whether it's because you're concerned that you're not going to be able to make enough money, there's not enough time, you need to save things up, you need to pay stuff off, you're trying to prove something to someone else. There are so many different reasons why we feel this desire to to hustle and work all the time. And it really is dependent upon our individual experiences. But the more that I started to work with business owners who were struggling with the same thing, it became apparent that there is actually a very specific road out of that space. So even if we all have different situations and different circumstances and different things going on in our lives, there are some fundamental switches that we can sort of flip within the way that we interact with our work, the things that we have on our phone, just little things that honestly are things that you probably don't even notice that you're doing. And when you do notice, you're like, oh, I can't believe I did that. So for example, like doom scrolling. Doom scrolling is one of those things where I was actually talking to a friend of mine yesterday and she was telling me how she lay down on her bed and she was just having a hard day and she decided to scroll on her phone for a little bit. And she was like, I thought I'd only been scrolling for like 15 minutes, but it turns out I've been scrolling for like an hour. The stars, that's right, I have stars now. Okay, I need to get better about the stars. I will get better about the stars. That's coming later. Today I can't. Today is just going to be, we're going to talk about this. But you know what? You reminded me of that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting I have stars. I have stars, everybody. So I realized that if there are certain switches, certain things that if we do those things in our day to day, right? So like, for example, saying stop doom scrolling. I know it's easier, like it's easy to say, right? Just stop doom scrolling and you'll have so much more time in your day. Like that's not helpful information. That doesn't actually help you do anything. It doesn't actually help you change your life or your business. It really just tells you this is what someone else says you should do. And then you're left sitting there like, how do I operationalize this and make this happen? That was where I found most of us had our problems. Like we knew what to do, right? I'll tell you, with all of my audience, I rarely have met someone who doesn't know that there's a problem. I've rarely met a business owner who's like, oh, my business is perfect. Like most of them are they know that there's a problem. You know there's a problem. You know that there's something not right with the way you're running. Like you just can't figure out what it is, right? And you're like, I don't know exactly what to fix. So we go around looking for all these people to help us, and we treat the symptoms, but not the actual issue, which is some very fundamental habits that we have in our day-to-day lives that actually suck out so much time, right? So as I started to coach, I realized that before you can start working on your email or implementing new marketing strategies or starting a new social media platform, before you can do any of those things, you actually have to have the time to do those things, right? And that's where a lot of my business owners get in trouble, because you know that there's something you need to do. You know that what you're doing isn't working. The problem is you're already doing so many things. Where are you going to find the time to put this other stuff in? Good morning, Dawn. So good to see you today. Hello. So where are you going to find the time to do these things? And therein came my first, I knew that this is where the funnel had to start. And it has to always start with clearing up time in your day before you're going to be able to make any changes in your business so that you're making more money, before you're going to be able to implement that new social media idea that you have, or before you're going to be able to start going live and having and doing the new promotional schedule from stage 4 in the squad. Before you do any of those things, you first have to have the time to do it. And so today, so what I've been working on over the last couple of months with the team has been working through some of the issues that we've actually been talking about on the podcast. And if you haven't listened to the previous episodes of the podcast, I strongly recommend it. You're going to find that there's a lot of things that I talk about that you are going to see them come to fruition in my business so that you can see how they apply to your own business. And that's really, really important. So we are now in a space where this is step 1. This is the first step of the Hustleproof Your Life strategy. And the first step is this: no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what you need to do for your business, no matter what's happening, before you're going to be able to add something, before you're going to be able to flex your wings and make the change that you want to make in your business, you have to have the space to do it. And I don't mean like you have to have space like in your house, like in a bedroom. You need to feel like you have the emotional space. You need to feel like you have the space in time, right? If you don't feel like you have any time to implement something new, you're not going to feel like you can flex your wings and try something different, right? Because you're trapped here and you're just trying to get your way out of this little box thing, right? So if you don't feel like you have that time, then you're not going to take those steps, because it's just, why even start if you're not going to have the time to finish? It's harder to get motivated. So the Hustleproof Your Life guide and quiz was put together to help business owners figure out where they can get the most amount of time. So today's podcast is going to be all about that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm really just going to be talking about this. I'm going to share I'm going to share the benefits of it. I'm going to go through each of the sections and why they're important. My hope is that what you're going to, after you listen to this podcast or watch this live, that you will understand the benefits of what it is that this tool offers and how you can use it. And then you will download and implement it for yourself so that you can start seeing more free time in your day. Because ultimately that is the goal, for you to be able to find more free time in your day. So the way that this podcast works is that I'm going to clap my hands, and then I'm going to not look at this screen. I'm going to actually be looking at other screens while I go through the podcast. And I'm going to come back and answer questions, or feel free to talk amongst yourselves. While I'm live, I want to ask you a huge favor. If there's something that I say that resonates with you, take a note of it, right? Take a note of it, because it's going to be helpful for you later on, especially when you download the freebie. The other thing I want to ask you to do is, if it does resonate with you, share that on your personal profile or with your team. Let them know, this is something that resonated with me. This is how I think it's going to help me. And then send them along to the same space. And you can find the guide at manessa.com/guide. You can go download it right now. It is totally free. But make sure that you get this information to other people as well, because it is free and it is something that's going to create a lot more space in their lives to be able to do the things that they want to do anyway. Okay, so let's get started with the podcast. Okay. All right, the one thing I just realized I did not do, which is super funny, is I made all the notes and everything, but the one thing I forgot to add to the notes was the intro. So I'm going to go in there now and just get the intro because, that's a thing that I need to do is include the intro. Podcast recordings, and then we will hit this show on the road. Yeah. Okay. Copycat. That was last week's. Okay. All right, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast. My name is Manessa Konecki. I am a business strategist with 25 years of experience working with businesses in crisis to help them get back on track. Like many of my clients, I used to hustle, and constantly give myself so much shit about all the things that I wasn't getting done and worrying about the lack of progress in my business. It wasn't until I dropped all of my preconceptions about business, like literally almost all of them, and helped my clients do the same that I realized that I was the one who was holding myself back with those antiquated business ideas. Join me today as we go over one of my favorite antiques, which is our belief systems around how often you need to work, how much you need to work, and the hustle culture. Today, you're going to learn the key tools that I used to break myself out of the pattern of working all of the time and put myself on a path where I was able to work on my own schedule, live in my dream home, have clients that are seeing incredible results, and be very fulfilled in the work that I do, all by working less, not more, and by making a few small changes in my business. And today, not only are you going to learn exactly how I did it, you're also going to get access to a free tool that I created, the Hustleproof Your Life Guide, that you can download and use that as your blueprint. But you will also have access to a quiz that will help you figure out how many hours you will actually get back from your day by making these changes. So we're going to talk all about those things. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start by talking about where this hustling idea came from. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I think we all know that we feel the need to hustle, but I just want to give us a little brief overview in that for many, many years prior to the advent of social media and social selling, there was a clear line of delineation between work and home. You would go to work, you would work at work, probably have a typewriter, a little pencil and a pad. Like most things were not done electronically back, 50s, 60s, 70s. And then they became electronic, but there was still no internet. So you still had a strong line of delineation between when you were at work and when you were at home. Now, sometimes you would have people who would be like, oh, I want to burn the midnight oil, right? Because those were the people who, wow, that Jack, he really wants to get ahead of the game. He's working late. He's coming in early, right? These are things that people were rewarded for because it showed their dedication to the job, the dedication to the company. And those are the people that usually got promoted. They got raises. They got the things that everybody looked at. And so the message that ended up getting received by everyone else is if you want to achieve, then these are the things that you need to do. So even though your job description may not say that you need to do that, you kind of need to do that. So we bring those ideas with us, okay? And there's a large number of people who started businesses before many of us did. They kind of like ran off and saw this internet thing. They started the businesses and became social sellers and started to send these messages, right? And they found that they were initially making whatever amount they were making, and they found that if they worked more, they'd make more money. They'd work more, they'd make more money. So the message that they start to receive again is the more you work, the more money you make. So now these people are running successful businesses, bringing in the same philosophies that you probably brought into your business, saying that you need to work all the time to be successful. What happened though is that when social selling became less of a new hotness thing and more of a part of life thing, it got harder and harder to sell to people online. And so hustling was no longer something that you were like, just do the thing and you get the results. It's if you aren't getting the results, you're not doing enough of the thing. You need to do more of it, faster, better, harder. Like the bionic man, right? You have to keep doing more. And over the last 5 years, I've actually been very alarmed at and I was alarmed before this, and that's why I started the business, but it's gotten a little bit different over the years. So like several years ago, I was alarmed because I realized that the message that we were all receiving was that if you were not working all the time, then you did not have a dedication to your business, or you were not going to be successful, or you weren't taking your business seriously. Whatever the messages were that we were receiving, it was that if you are not hustling and letting your work consume all of your day, then you are not dedicated and maybe this isn't right for you, right? And that is a very polarizing opinion, and it's a very dangerous opinion because it puts people in a position where they will work themselves to death. Now, I have seen this happen to people, and I have had it happen to myself, where I worked myself to the point where my body was just like, I can't do this anymore. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. My anxiety was terrible. I looked sick. Like, you could just tell by looking at me that there was something wrong with my body because I had sacrificed everything for my business. And the proof was in the pudding because I was making money. So obviously it was working, right? So I was part of the problem that I was telling people, hustle, 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 right? And then at some point, several years ago, when my body gave out on me, I realized that there's something wrong here. This cannot be the way it is. This is not why I started my business. This is not what I wanted to do. I really had a come to Jesus moment. And I really wanted to bring us back to that space, because when I looked at my colleagues around me and my peers, I found that we were all doing the same thing. We started our business for freedom and joy, but we just ended up living in a cage of our own making. And the problem is that even though I knew I didn't want to do that, I couldn't figure out how to get out of it, right? Like, there were no messages out there that were teaching people how to run a business in this way, because this idea was radical at the time. Nobody was doing it. Everybody was all hustle, hustle, hustle. Gary Vee's the man. And that's great, but it's not healthy, right? And it isn't right, especially for people with chronic illness. It wasn't right for me. So I embarked on a journey with my clients and myself to figure out the pathway, because I already knew how to make money. We've talked about that, right? I already knew how to make money. Now, how do I make money doing it the way that I want to do it? How do I help other people make money doing it the way they want to do it? And what I figured out as I was going through all of this was that, let me just open this up. I was going through all of this was that there are some very key philosophies and habits that we have as business owners that actually keep us locked in a state of hustling. So what I discovered was that if we address just these specific things, these 5 specific things, then these things alone are enough to make such a big difference in our lives that we don't have to make big sweeping changes, right? So like for me, I really struggle with making these gigantic changes because I can't stick with it, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my schedule in order and I'll sit and I'll make this list of what my schedule is going to look like. And I'm going to do this, 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 and this. But I do that for 3 days and then I'm absolutely exhausted. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And then I feel like a failure. And then the cycle repeats itself. And I did that for years. I'm sure that's something that you're familiar with. You've done time blocking. You've tried, different meditation techniques. There's so many different things that we all try to get a handle on our work. Operationalizing it is the real problem. You know what to do, you know what needs to happen, but how do you operationalize it in your day-to-day? And that's what this tool is. This tool will help you operationalize ideas that you probably already have a little bit of an inkling about somewhere in you, or you've had a gut feeling that you need to do something different, but you weren't sure how to do it or what to do. This is going to give you that framework to get started. Okay. So we're going to start by talking about the philosophies about hustle-proofing your life. Okay. The first thing you have to keep in mind when you're hustle-proofing your life is that you don't want to apply all the things at the same time, because that's basically the same thing as you were doing before. It's not going to work. Whatever we talk about today, pick one thing that resonates with you and just make that your thing, right? Start with that. Go slow. Be gentle with yourself. It is not necessary for you to do this perfectly, okay? There is no need for you to do this perfectly at all. I didn't do it perfectly, and I'm still here. Okay. So my clients don't do it perfectly. They're still here. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Okay. The consistency is going to make a lot more of an impact in your business than perfection. Perfection will probably make no impact because you'll only do it for a couple of days and then you will give up because it will just be too much. If you do it slowly and consistently, you will see more changes faster because of that. Okay. We are going to be working. This is actually how it's designed. It's designed to work slowly. Okay. It is not designed to work quickly in terms of like your body, because we're really trying to change a perspective that you've brought with you most of your life, right? So when I started to unpack some of these things, even though the actual actions are things that I've probably only been doing for a little while, maybe for some of them, the actual ideas were things that were much deeper ingrained, and they're not going to get changed just by me saying one day, oh, I'm going to change this. It's something that happens slowly, but you see changes the whole time as long as you apply it consistently. So that's the key. Okay. It has taken decades for you to build the habits that hold your business back. Please remember that. And those habits, those decades old habits, are what keep you locked in to this situation, right? So this change is also going to take time. Okay. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the 3-list system. All right. Most business owners have a 1-list system, which is you sit down and you're like, I need to figure out what it is that I need to do. I'm going to make a list of all of the things that I need to do now. And bam, I'm now looking at a list of, 3 things, then 10 things, then 100 things. And now I'm just too exhausted to do anything. Okay. What we're going to incorporate instead is a 3-list system. Okay. The 3-list system is your first list is your dream list. Your dream list is everything that you're not going to be able to do right now, but that you want to do in the future for your business. So like for me, I know that I want to start releasing videos on a regular basis that just get cut up and put somewhere. Like I have a whole idea of like video content that I want to do. But right now I'm probably not going to do that. So I'm putting that in my dream list. When later on I have time or bandwidth or excitement, I can always go back to my dream list and say, okay, what are some of the things that I said I wanted to do that now I have bandwidth for? The important thing about this is that it lets you have a place for you to put all of your big ideas that actually are your growth ideas. These are your visionary ideas that you may not necessarily have time for right now. This helps you with your squirreliness, okay? Because if you're a squirrel, you're like, oh, idea, and you're too busy trying to implement 800 things to actually make progress in your business. What this does is it gives you the security of knowing that you have that dream somewhere written down. You're not going to lose track of it, but that now is not necessarily the time. And it starts to train your brain to tell the difference between visionary things that you're going to need a lot of time to put together, like a whole new idea, and things that you do right now, like send a text to my friend, which is just an action you can take and check off, right? So that's your first list, is your dream list. Your second list is your triage list. And this is the list of things that basically, as you think of things during the week, you just put it on the list, right? Now, this is not an active list. This is not a list that you're going to be working off of on your day-to-day. This is the list that you're using to keep track of everything that you need to do in the next week or so that you don't lose track of it. Call the dentist. Check in on Julie and see how she's doing. Respond to that customer. Don't forget to send out that email on Thursday, right? Those are all the things you're going to put on this list because they're things that need to be done in the relatively near future, right? 1 to 2 weeks, but they're not things that need to be done right now. Your third list is the day list. That's the one that you're working on today. And that's it. You only work on what's on that list today, and you're mindful about what you put on that list. So the way that I do this is that I first do an entire brain dump of all the things. Then I separate them into, these are my dream ideas. These are the things I know I need to do in the next few weeks. And then this is my list of stuff I need to do in this week. And I do that on Sundays. Nothing gets added to my list during the week. So I decide what I'm doing for the week at the very beginning of the week, and then the rest of it goes on to the triage list. And then every Sunday I look at the triage list and I make sure that I move things where they're supposed to be, which means that I'm setting only 1 day a week for prioritization instead of trying to prioritize on the fly every time someone asks me to do something. Oh, hey, Manessa, can you get that thing? Can you send me the copy of the Hustleproof Your Life guide? Okay, well, now I need to remember to do that. And she doesn't necessarily need it right now. So I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to do this thing. And what ends up happening is that now it's going to take me time to get back to what I was doing before. Instead of letting other people's requests determine the direction of my day, I determine the direction of my day. And then I have time in my day that's set aside to respond to people and get them the things they need. Okay, so that is the Dream Your Business to Life is tool number 1. It is the 3-list system. It is so critical because what that does is it takes a huge load off of your body, because now your body doesn't feel like it has to do a list of 100 things right now. It is able now to recognize that there is time between when these things are, and the pressure comes off. So now you do not feel such an overwhelming sense of urgency to do all the things right now. Okay, so the first thing is your dream list. The second is to set boundaries. Now, boundaries are incredibly important because earlier on, I mentioned an example of how I'm sitting here doing some work and someone comes in and they say, hey, can you send the Hustleproof Your Life guide to Christy, right? And I say, well, I'm going to get that to you at 4 when I send my emails out to people and respond, right? And let's say she says, no, I need it now, right? Okay. My boundary is that I will send it to you later, right? That's my boundary. I've set that. She is now pushing my boundary, okay? Now, ordinarily, I would capitulate and say, okay, fine, and just give it to her, right? And then I'd be annoyed and I'd be annoyed that she didn't respect my boundary, okay? The thing to keep in mind is that it is not someone else's responsibility to maintain your boundaries. It's your responsibility, right? So you're going to lose a lot of things, a lot of time during the day if you constantly let your boundaries be pushed because you said, I was going to spend this time in self-care, but now someone needs something, so I'm just not going to do that. That is your boundary being bent, and you have the choice to maintain that boundary. So one of the most important things for business owners, especially business owners, but it's a good habit for all of us to have, is to know what our boundaries are and to have no scripts ready for whenever the situation arises. So for example, let's say a client messages you and wants a refund, and the refund is outside of the 30-day window, and that you have set, whatever your policy is, 7 days, 30 days, whatever your policy is, it's outside of that window. So she messages you, and you write back, and now when she messaged you, she said, I know it's outside the 30-day window, but I really would like a refund. Now, if in that moment you get that message, now you have a little bit of cortisol in your system. You're like, oh God, she wants a refund. I can't believe, it's written there. Now you're frustrated. You're annoyed. You can't believe, because it's rude for someone to ask that. Would you do that at Kmart? Blah, whatever it is that goes through our head. There's a lot of different things that might go through our head in that moment that now you're losing time. Every minute that you're spending on this emotion with this person who has now messaged you asking for a refund that probably took them 2 seconds to write is time that you're wasting. Now you're trying to figure out what to say about it. Now, back in the day, I remember I would have business owners messaging. I still see it in groups. Well, I had a customer ask me this thing and she wants a refund. What should I say? Okay. So now she's spent time writing that post, asking that question. The insecurity about what to say to somebody when they're asking for a refund has now consumed an hour or 2 hours of this person's life, not to mention their psychology and their emotions, right? If you have scripts written in advance to deal with these kinds of things, that when someone sends you something, right, first of all, that tells your body that this is something to be expected. I am prepared for this, and I'm not going to let it bother me or take up my time. Then when someone reaches out to you outside of the 30-day window that you have assigned and they ask for a refund, instead of you getting into this cycle that you've been in probably many times, I know I've been in, you just go to your note scripts, you copy paste it, and it says something like, thank you so much for reaching out. And you have whatever it is in there. I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to take this back because blah, 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 or whatever it is that you decide. But that's already written. So now you don't have to think about anything. Now, I have a tool that I'm finishing up called Boundaries Done For You. It's a no scripts, and basically it's an entire booklet of no scripts for any situation. I'm basically collecting no scripts so that you can say no to anyone about anything. It can be your parents, it can be your sister, it can be a colleague, it can be someone at a job. I'm putting that together because this is something that many of us struggle with. So having a no script is really, really important. Okay, knowing what it is that you want to say and making sure that you know what your boundaries are. Now, in the download, you're going to find some more guidance about how to decide how to set your boundaries, what are some of the boundaries that you want, and some other additional information to help you kind of get started on setting boundaries. There is currently a link. This is going to work later on, but it currently does not work because we're still putting it together for my list of no scripts. So if that is not working right now, don't worry. If you've downloaded it, we'll send you an email and let you know when the no scripts are back up so that you can get your copy. Okay, the third thing that is sucking up your time, and this is going to be one that you're not going to like this. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're not going to like it. Your notifications on your phone are killing you. They're absolutely killing you beyond your ability to understand, beyond my ability to. When I figured out how much they were killing me, I was just like, wow, I had no idea the impact that something so small has on our bodies. So here's the thing, okay? Here's the skinny about notifications, okay? Every time your phone buzzes, you get a shot of cortisol in your system, okay? That means that you are constantly getting cortisol in your system if you have your notifications on. And if your notifications are turned on so that you see Facebook, so that you get notifications from text messages and then it's just constantly, your body is constantly receiving cortisol, which keeps you at a heightened level of stress. Add that on to your business levels of stress and now you are operating at a very, very high stress level, which is why a lot of business owners tend to struggle with adrenal fatigue, thyroid issues, and things like that, because they are adrenal fatigue and cortisol issues, not thyroid issues. I can't say thyroid issues. I'm not a doctor. Cortisol issues is because of all of this, a lot of the stress. Now, here's the other thing that's important to know. When you are distracted by a buzz like that, it takes 23 minutes for you to get your concentration back onto whatever it was that you were doing, okay? So now I want you to picture your day. If your day is one where you're constantly getting interrupted with your kids, there's people who need things from you, your Facebook messages are popping up on the bottom of your screen or on the top of your phone is over here trying to do something, bzz, bzz, bzz. People are messaging you. You are literally losing 23 minutes every time you do it. Okay, 23 minutes. If you think about how many notifications you actually get, you don't even have a day that you are able to truly focus on what it is that you're doing. What that means is that you are finding that you don't have as much time as you think you do. Now, there are things that you cannot control, right? So for example, if your kid needs you, that's important, right? So like that's not something you're going to be able to control. But you can control whether your notifications are going off, right? Now, when I bring this up at my seminars and my trainings, I invariably have someone who clutches their phone like I have threatened to take it away from them and throw it in a pond when I tell them to turn off their push notifications. And they insist that they absolutely cannot do it because of whatever reason. What I want to help you with on this one is this. One, if there are people that you must have get through, then star them and favorite them and turn off everybody else. I understand your children and so on, but it's unlikely that there's any Facebook notification that is so critical to your life that you absolutely must have it at that exact moment. Okay. If that is how you feel, then I would strongly recommend that you re-examine your relationship with your phone and with notifications, because that is way more of an addictive behavior than it is anything related to something that you actually need to do. So I think that may be something you want to work on with your therapist or work on with yourself, or really just think about, because there really is no world, unless you are a heart surgeon who has patients 24/7, where you need to have your notifications on for every app that you possibly could use. And it's really important that we be mindful about those things. And in the guide, there are very specific steps and what you can do to help kind of clean up some of this clutter and free up some of your mind so that you can focus on the things that you want to be focusing on. Now, the fourth is your inbox. Is your inbox full of emails? Emails are, inbox zero is the average person loses 2.6 hours a day simply interacting with their emails. So many people ignore their emails because there's just too much of it. And they're just like, I can't even with this. I can't deal with email, right? And so you're avoiding business, you're missing things, right? Email in and of itself, much like social media in and of itself, or your phone in and of itself, is not a dangerous thing. It's not a bad thing, but how you engage with it can determine how it impacts your life. So what I want to recommend, and we're going to brush over email a little bit because we're going to talk about it a little bit more detail in when we go to our next one, is to clean out your emails, right? So the first thing is you want to make sure that you're unsubscribing from everything that you don't need to be on. You're probably on like 100 thousands of mailing lists that you no longer have any interest in. Spend 5 to 10 minutes a day just unsubscribing from things that you want, or unsubscribe as they come in so that you're starting to only get emails that you actually want. Be thoughtful about the emails that you receive. Like I have a friend who she gets a new email every time people can find her on one email. So she has like 30 emails because she keeps running from people, because rather than actively managing her emails, I do the same thing with I used to do the same thing. So no judgment there, but rather than actively managing these spaces, she runs away from them, which is exactly what I do. I ran away from Marco to Telegram to something else. I just keep running away. I'm like, oh, people can find me here. I'm going to run away. Wherever you go, there you are. If you do not implement a tool for yourself or a system for yourself in terms of how you're going to deal with email, then you will consistently find yourself drowned under your email and running away from your email and running away from people by finding new emails. Okay, so we're going to talk about the last thing here. The last one is on Facebook. Leave groups and unfollow people that are not relevant to your life. This is really important as a business owner. This is slightly less relevant to people who are not running businesses. But if you're a business owner, then you are in a ton of groups for your team, for your community, for your wholesaler, for other businesses, for coaches, for so many things, some of which you don't even look at, and you're getting notifications about these things, and things are popping up on your feed. You're also friends with people who every time their posts come up, you're like, right? Use this opportunity to unfriend, unfollow. If you unfollow, they can't tell that you have unfollowed them. You just won't see their stuff. They won't know anything. So just unfollow them. If you don't like what you see, unfollow them. The main purpose of this entire Hustleproof Your Life strategy is to reduce the amount of noise that you are allowing into your life. Because right now, there was a time in our lives where we controlled our destiny. We were doing our thing, and the amount of noise that was coming in was minimal at best. Now, there is a lot of stuff that we want to have coming towards us, but we've also made our social and our digital lives so cluttered that we are now also being bombarded by many, many things that we do not want. We have developed habits that keep us locked in a space of constant hyper awareness of what it is that we need to do next, or what is it that someone is going to say next, or what is it that I need to respond to next, that keeps you, it's almost literally like waiting for danger all the time. And when you're doing that and then nighttime comes, you're not able to sleep properly. You're not able to eat properly because you're always stressed out. And these things compound and create a very difficult environment in which to do business. These 5 steps are really important because as you take each of these steps, and you can take any one of these steps on their own, will make an enormous difference in terms of how you engage with your business, the kind of money you make, how much time you have in your day, how you feel about the things that you're doing in your day. Going slowly and implementing them one at a time as you go is going to have an astronomical effect because it will compound. And then you're going to find yourself in a position where you have a lot more time in your day, you're enjoying your life, you're making the money that you want, you're having a fulfilled experience with your business, but you haven't had to make any of these broad sweeping changes that have historically not worked for you. Now, this is all ready available for you if you are ready to take the plunge and ready to make that change in your business so that you don't have to feel like you're hustling anymore. You can go right now to manessa.com/guide. Drop your email address in there and it will get an email that basically says, hey, I love you, you're amazing, and here is your guide. And it will walk you through everything that we talked about today. Now, if you're like, listen, I don't know, I don't necessarily know that I need time back in my day, or I think I'm okay, or I'm fine, or maybe I do, I'm not sure. I've put together a quiz for you to help you figure out what are the time suckers in your day? How much time could you get back by implementing some of these things? Because here's the thing. It's all well and good for me to tell you that do all these things and you're gonna get all this time back in your business. But it really does help to know how much are you gonna give me back, Manessa? How much am I gonna get back? So if you go to manessa.com/quiz, then you can take the quiz. I ask you some behavioral questions about things that you do, and you, at the end, when you're done, you drop your email, and you will get the guide, but you'll also get a notification that lets you know how much time you'll save. And there are people who save up to 20 hours, if not more, in their week, depending on what their habits are. Simply dropping the notifications is going to increase your productivity by tenfold. So it's really hard to say because it really depends on which one you're going to do first, and what your particular issues are. What do you tend to use as your pacifier? So I want to recommend head over there right now, manessa.com/quiz, if you want to see how much time you'll get back, or manessa.com/guide to download the free guide and get started right now. Regardless of which one you do, you will get a series of emails that will walk you through implementing these processes and help set you up for success. I absolutely cannot wait. I seriously, go download it now, go take the quiz now, and then I want you to send me an email, me@manessa.com, right after you start implementing this, because here's the thing. Yes, that's definitely me. Send it to me directly. I want to hear from you because you will start to see so many transformational things happening in your day. I want to hear what those are. I want to hear when you're like, oh my God, my kid asked me if I wanted to take a walk down to the park today, and I had time to do it because I finished what I needed to do today. I crossed everything off of my list. This was the first day I went to bed and didn't feel like I'd accomplished nothing, right? Those are the kinds of things that you're going to start feeling after you implement these strategies. So head over, get started now, and then don't forget to email me as soon as you start seeing changes so that I can participate. I want to be there with you. I want to be there with you. All right. Looking forward to seeing you. Okay. Well, that ending, I think I need to work on the ending, but, okay. Whoa. So many comments. All right. Let's see. Okay. So Sophia says, all right. I feel like sometimes it's easy for highly successful people to say hustle, but they forget they have a big team behind them making things work, and the people they're talking to most of the time are on their own trying to do 20 different job positions at once. I think that's a really good point, and that's something that I've really been trying to be mindful of, and I've actually added some different questions to my questionnaire specifically to talk about what are your sales, what are you trying to accomplish, because depending on where someone is in their business, they're going to have access to different tools and different resources, right? And this is such an interesting point, Sophia, because what I found, and we were talking about this the other day with one of my clients, that she said, the problem is that they're offering me things, but like they're offering me things for someone who's making 10 times more than what I am. And it's like, and I need tools right now that are going to let me do it myself because I don't have a team. And one day maybe I'll have a team and I'm going to want to do that, but I'm not there yet. And I think that's the problem, is that I think a lot of people forget that they now have a team behind them that makes it possible for them to do a lot of these things, right? Absolutely. Dude, Crystal, you got one list? Absolutely. If you have one list, you are going to be overwhelmed. I guarantee you. Anybody who has just one list is asking to feel overwhelmed, asking to feel exhausted, because your body sees that list and it doesn't, like, you, let's say you put down, call the dentist on next Thursday, right? Even if you say call the dentist next Thursday in the thing, because you have it on a list that's in front of you, your brain looks at that list and says, I need to do all these things right now. Right? But even though there's one little thing in there that is for next Wednesday, or maybe there's a bunch of them that are for next Wednesday and you haven't put it in there, having those lists broken out gives your brain something to focus on and something targeted. It's like, okay, I can handle these 3 things. I can handle these 4 things or these 5 things. But when you start getting into don't forget to do that for Timmy next week, it's like now you're starting to add a lot. So that you want to put on your triage list, which is hidden from view, that you only go get on Sundays or whatever day you pick. You get to pick whatever. Sundays are my day. And now you're like, okay, now I'm going to sit through. Oh, I have to call Timmy's dentist. And now that goes on. Okay, on Thursday, I'm going to put that on my calendar. So it gives you a sense of security that you know that everything's going to get taken care of. For us, we're just so used to doing the old antiquated way of making the list and crossing it off, but our brains are so much more complicated than that, and they're capable of so much more. We are trapping them into a box by only doing one list. Okay. Dude, perfectionism is such a hard habit to break. Oh my God. Somebody once said to me, perfectionism is another word for procrastination. And it's so true. The second I just said, you know what? I don't care how good it is. I'm just doing the thing. So like this week, we're launching Hustleproof Your Life, but it's not done and it's not ready. Like it's as ready as it's going to be. But like Carolyn's sick. I was sick last week. We were supposed to launch last week. There's a lot of stuff happening. But the truth is, you need this information, right? I don't want to, like yesterday, I put something in the squad. You were on the call yesterday, right? But for people who weren't there, I put something in. So I uploaded the workbook for Amplify Your Reach, which basically is scripts for your video. It tells you how long videos need to be for each particular platform. You've got promotion schedules. Like literally it is literally your guidebook for how to do a live. Like I just put together every single thing you could need, worksheets, so that you don't have to do anything on your own. It's just a worksheet that gets you going and that's it. You do the thing, right? It's amazing. Freaking love it. I've had that for like 6 months. And Christy said, you've been sitting on this for 6 months? And I was like, oh my God, I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed right now, right? Which is why I messaged Sierra and I was like, can we please make it so people can get into the squad like right now? Like I want people to get in right now. I don't care if it's done. We're just doing the thing because the truth of the matter is that you need the information, right? So you have to ask yourself this question about the things that you're doing. Are you trying to do it to be perfect or are you trying to do it to help somebody? Right? And what's the bare minimum? And this is my philosophy. I just sometimes forget it. What's the bare minimum that I need to do to make sure that it helps you? And I can always build on that later, but you need the information now. And I guarantee you don't want to wait 6 months for my script that I'm like, I could feel, I'm an empath. So I could feel what came off of everybody there. And they're like, really? Right? I wish I'd had this 6 months ago. Like nobody was mad at me, but I could tell that they wished they'd had it sooner. Right? And I was like, and I had it ready sooner. What is my glitch? Right? And my glitch was that I was too caught up in making it perfect and not focusing on what I was actually trying to do, which is serve you, right? The second you switch it over and turn it outward, hit myself in the face. Then, Lara, that's a blooper. Oh, blooper reel. I gotta ask Lara about that. Hey, viewer. That's weird. Who's a viewer here? Okay, Crystal says, are you in my brain? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm in your brain right now. Not creepy at all. But absolutely, the squirrel thing is real. And that's the thing that keeps you from making progress. Because here's what happens, right? I don't want to, it's easy to say squirrel and sound dismissive. I'm not going to dismiss you. The fact that you're a squirrel is not, and this is really important, right? We say, oh, I'm a squirrel, and we say it in this cute way. We dismiss it because we're like, I don't know how to fix whatever it is. I understand it's a thing. I understand it's not helping me, but I don't know what to do about this, right? So I'm just going to deal with it in the way that makes me feel the least shitty. Right? And so that's what we do, right? That's what I do. So the thing that makes you feel least shitty is make a joke about it, right? So, but you don't have to do that now because now you have a tool, right? So now you know that why are you squirrely? Okay. Let's talk about why you're squirrely. You're squirrely because you're a creative genius. You are brilliant. You have creative ideas. You're a visionary. You're a business owner. Squirrel makes it sound like that's not what's happening. This is not what's happening. What's happening is that you are a driven person who is very in touch with the world, and things stimulate you. You're like, I'm stimulated by this idea. I'm stimulated by this idea. I'm stimulated by this idea, right? And we diminish that by calling it squirrely. Let's not do that. Instead of doing that, let's say, these are my great ideas that I have, but to implement this great idea is going to take like a month because I need to sit about it. I need to think about it. I need to do this thing. I don't have time for this right now, right? Because I'm doing this launch next week. I'm going to put it now in my dream list so I know I won't forget it. Because once your brain knows you have a dream list and you put these things on the dream list, that comfort is already built in because it knows it has that security, the baby blanket, right? The little rocker, to be like, I know that it's there. I'm okay, right? So that is going to make a really big difference in the squirrelness, because again, it's not squirreliness, it's visionary work. The problem is that you're being led about by the nose, right? Like, oh, what, right? But you have the choice to say, that's a really good idea, nose. Let's put that in there. I will come back to it, right? I've done something like this using a 3 different color post, and I throw them away as I finish tasks. Yeah, that's another one, 3 different color Post-its. The only thing that you're going to run into problems with on that is that if you have a wall of Post-its, you're doing the same thing to your brain, right? So like if you just have a wall of 3 colored Post-its, you can still see the Post-its. So your brain still sees this, right? I'm talking about having a list that you cannot see. You know where it is. It's in a drawer. The only thing you see is what you're working on in this week. That's it. Oh my gosh, can my husband use a script instead of using his let me talk to Corey when he knows the answers already know? Absolutely. He can just open it up and be like, yep, nope. Oh my God, Crystal says, I've left this training 5 times already from notifications. There you go, right? Right there you saw. I was sharing something that was really important to you. You were enjoying this. Like, I know you're enjoying it. You're engaging, right? You're like, oh my God, this is happening. And you're like, why are you? This is the thing that I figured out, okay? And I actually have to do a user journey at 12:11, so I'm leaving like right on the dot. However, here's what I want you to do, okay? Anytime you get a notification, I want you to look at the notification and I want you to just pause. And you won't be able to do it every time because like it'll take a lot of time and you won't remember, but just do it as often as you remember. You see it and you say, what is this notification? Is my life made better by this? Did I really want to get this notification right now? Okay. And what I found was that as I asked myself that question about every notification, I realized that there were almost no notifications that I really wanted to get. There was almost no notification that was so important. And I'm like, okay, well, I do want to hear from this person and this person. But other than that, like, there's just nobody else. Like, there is nothing else that I need to get a notification for, because I know that at 4 and at 9 in the morning and at 4, I'm going to go to my notifications. I'm going to go to my messenger. I'm going to go to my email. I know that I'm going to go to those spaces. I'm not going to miss anything. It's all going to be right there when I go, right? Why do I need it to bzz me, right? Why do I need that? What is it giving? What is it adding to my life? When you ask those questions, you on your own are like, why am I doing this? And you just decide on your own. I prefer doing it that way because I'm very stubborn and self-indulgent, and I don't like saying no to myself for anything. So the way that there was no other way for me to change as a human being, because I'm such a brat. Like, I'm really bratty. I'm very petulant. I'm very stubborn, and I don't like change. But I knew I had to change. You know, my stomach is actually telling me I should use different words. Like, I can tell it. So next time I'll use different words. Like my gut right then was like, don't say words like that about yourself. And I'm like, oh, I should comment on that. But the result, was very, oh my God, I totally lost my train of thought. This is why I shouldn't distract myself in the middle while I'm talking. I was actually thinking about my ADHD yesterday and thinking of how I can improve my lives. And I've realized that one of the things that I do is I ADHD out squirrel, right? That was my ADHD moment. No, right? Oh yeah. I knew that I had to learn how to manipulate my subconscious to get it to do what I needed it to do without alerting like my fight or flight, right? So like when you suggest a change to me, my fight or flight is activated, and that's why I don't like change. So whatever it was that I was changing, it had to be using a pattern and a system and habit changing that allowed me to like bypass this part of my brain, because I knew that it wasn't going to let me do, or whatever part of it started to bypass, because I knew what would happen. I did this using this for like a year or so. And now I've done it long enough to where the way that it happens now is if someone suggests something to me, I immediately respond with a no, you're wrong. but my subconscious has already figured out that it's not gonna stay there, right? So like it takes me about an hour, maybe 3, and then I come back and I'm like, okay, you're right, let's make the change. So, but it took me 5 years of consistent work to get to a point where I was now able to just tell my subconscious what to do. And oftentimes it doesn't listen, but in a lot of ways it does, because I've trained it. It's just like training, right? Right now, you've trained your subconscious to be anxious in all these ways because that's what you've been doing all these years, right? And it's like if you haven't worked out, but you start working out this muscle, right? Suddenly it's like, ooh, bicep, right? Same thing. You're doing the exact same thing. You're just working out this muscle that will then get stronger and stronger and stronger. And now I'm basically like, one of those heavyweight lifters in terms of my how I deal with that in here. There's other things that need work, but for that, I feel good, right? Okay. Do not disturb is amazing. Oh my God. I use my phone like a bit. Oh my God, dude. Sophia, I was saying that to Alex yesterday. My phone is basically a big silent pager. Yes. Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh my God, you're so funny. Emails are so annoying. Oh my God, email. Christy is an email avoider. I knew that. I knew that. I knew that. I love my emails. Oh my God, dude, nice. I'm glad. If I know I'm waiting for a call or a message for something important, I star them for the day. Oh, I like that a lot. If I know I'm waiting for someone, I will star them for the day. That's actually really good. Because yesterday I missed a call from our plumber who wanted to install the toilet tomorrow. I mean, they're going to come anyway, but I missed it because I didn't have it. That's a really smart idea. Alrighty. Yes, unsubscribe and clear out. Exactly. So I get notifications for those I want. I leave the rest. I've unsubscribed from 5 things last month. Nice job, dude. That's amazing. That is killer. That is what buys you time. That is what, it's the littlest things. We think we need to do all these big dramatic changes. You really don't. You do these little things and you'll be, in 2 weeks, you'll be like, holy shit, I had no idea. No idea at all. Dawn, I'm on so many emails. Dawn says she's on an email she didn't even subscribe to. There are some emails. I know I did not subscribe to your stupid email. I did not subscribe to it. Like, why are you sending an email? And I'm like, I literally want to send them to the police. Like, the police. Go. But honestly, I don't. I actually may want to just start forwarding them to Carol and be like, can you please submit an FCC complaint? Because honestly, it's just really annoying. It's just really annoying. I've gotten to the point with my email where I just open a new account and start it over. Oh, you're like my friend who she just starts new ones. She just goes. Yeah, absolutely. Love, leave groups and unfollow. Calm the clutter. Exactly. Liana says she's left so many groups. It only helps your page. That's the thing. These things that I shared with you today, this is the important thing. These things that I've shared with you today, these don't just help your business from like inside out. They also help, like what Liana said. They actually also help your engagement grow. They help your reach grow. They help there just wasn't enough time to talk about all of it. This is literally like, you know what it is? They say that if you exercise, right? They're like, it's the cure-all. You exercise, your mood gets better. You exercise, you're better in bed. You exercise, you're healthier. You just exercise like the magic pill. You just take the exercise and you're fine, right? Just exercise. It fixes everything, right? Like no matter what, did you exercise? Shut up. Exercise and water, okay? That's what this is, right? This is one of those things where it's a fundamental business health activity, right? And I go through this fairly regularly. I check on my lists. You have to do a spot check, like just to make sure that you haven't drifted, because we drift as human beings, right? Because that's how fundamental it is, right? So it's one of those things where if I ever find myself in a situation where I feel overwhelmed or I've fallen off track, like this last week, I felt really, because this last month has been very, very hard for me. Again, in the squad, it's all there. If you want to join the squad and hear my whole sordid story, you can. But basically, it was really hard for me, right? And so a lot of things, I changed medication and just a lot of things just bleh. So what's the first thing I did when I came out of my Cymbalta-induced fog? I pulled out the Hustleproof Your Life and I just started going down the list and said, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, because it just helps you get a really good reset. And then once you have that ready, you're ready to just move on, right? Like it's almost like a spring. You just do it and it springs you out, okay? So that's what I want to recommend. Head over to Manessa.com/guide. You can download it right now. Drop in your email, you'll get it. Or Manessa.com/quiz if you'd like to take the quiz first and see how much time you're going to save by implementing all of the fun things that are in this guide. This has been a really good, I honestly feel like, I got to say, I feel like I was on top of my game today. I feel good about today's podcast. I just want to take a minute to say that because we don't often give ourselves moments. And today, here's what I want to leave you with. I want you to be on the lookout today for something that you are proud of yourself about. Okay. I want you to, just keep an eye out for something that you feel you did well. When you find it, come back to this if you can, or message me, whichever way you want. Just tell me what you did that you're proud of yourself about, because I want to hear taking that moment to acknowledge something good that you've done and something that's great and something that you're proud of is such a powerful motivator to doing better in your business. I want to get you jump started on that. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm going to see you guys next week. Same bad time.